Hey, this is Eric from Catching Light.
Hey, this is Hemp.
Hey, this is Glenn.
Hi, I'm Steve-O.
Hey, this is Drew Hines with Hindsight Imagery.
This is Matt Callahan at Digimatty Photographic Services.
Hey, this is Jason, and welcome to Tales from the Pit. Hello and welcome to Tales from the Pit, the behind-the-lens access for concerts and photography. We are photographers for New Hampshire's largest outdoor venue, and today we have a very special guest. I'm really excited for him. He's one of my musical heroes. He's known as, well, from what I've read, he's known as the rock and roll Renaissance man, kind of done a lot of stuff, involved with a lot of stuff. I mean, some stuff I've read is you build custom gun parts. I saw that on your Instagram. Build motorcycles. You have your own tattoo shop. I saw that you have a forward in a cigar magazine or a cigar book on Amazon. You have star treatments, or you have been, in the past, you've done star treatments and stuff like that. A lot of really, really cool stuff. Plus, you're a bass player in a rock and roll band. So, Matt Dirito, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me. The whole, bass player in a rock and roll band. I mean, that's the easiest gig of them all, right? You just sit in the back and flip your hair and try to look cool. Memorize 3 or 4 notes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you were to take a silhouette of a rock and roll star, if you were to take your silhouette and just use you as a silhouette, that is, you're like that poster child for rock and roll, that look,
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I still have the long hair, by the way. It's just,
just tucked away
for now. But
So if you don't mind, can you kind of give us sort of a background of how you got started in the music, your sort of the beginnings of your musical journey, or what your influences were when you growing up and all that stuff? How did you get into this journey? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, for sure. It depends on how deep you want to go, but so in my growing up, we never had a TV. Well, I shouldn't say that. We didn't have a TV until high school. So my dad had stereo system, record player, tapes, CDs as media evolved, and my house as a child was just music all the time, 24 hours a day while we were sleeping, everything. So naturally, when the time came about to pick an instrument in school, started poking around. My parents really pushed us to go into music, and started out playing the saxophone for a while. Got into high school, started playing bass. Our high school offered a jazz program, so the sound of bass guitar in jazz music is actually what drew me to that instrument. I'd been a rocker my whole life. My parents grew me up on AC/DC and Kiss and Zeppelin and Queen and all that kind of good stuff. But it was jazz that pushed me in that direction. So I started out playing bass for my high school jazz band for a few years, and sort of learning how it ties in with music and how you can really move a bass line around underneath something. And when I was looking for a band in my area, everyone played metal, which was cool because I like metal too. In my high school years, I started to get into a lot of industrial style bands and heavier and heavier stuff. So it was a lot of 9 Inch Nails and Manson and Type O Negative, and which turned into Pantera and Chimera and bands of the sort. So I started my journey into the local rock scene and playing in metal bands for other dudes in metal bands, which was our captive audience, and kicked around doing that for a while. I broke off from doing some of those to do an acoustic project with my old buddy Tony Green, So him and I had like a, a 3-piece with another drummer of ours, and just did these really cool kind of acoustic songs. Did that for about a year. He got picked up by this band called Pop Evil, who was just doing cover songs at the time. They wanted to add a second guitarist. And I was really upset at the time. Like, why, he's leaving our thing to go do this, blah, blah, blah. And 2 months later, I got the phone call to see if I wanted to audition to join as well. At that point in time, I'd never been in a cover band, but the thought of like just playing with my buddy again and playing a lot of shows was fun. Prior to that, all the metal bands that I was in, we'd practice, 3-4 days a week and play out maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So, the idea of playing shows and shows and shows every week was like, okay, yeah, it'll be nice to play out. Got out, started doing cover songs. It evolved, did our first album, and it's history.
So you were involved with the first album all the way through to the current album in the Pop Evil catalog, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Let's see, what is it today? July 21st? I think it was 2 weeks ago. I announced my departure from the band.
Right.
They've taken off on this their latest tour without me. And so yeah, kind of looking forward to seeing what's next.
So going back to the very beginning when you first joined this band and created an album, that first time when you're going out on the road and you're just kind of experiencing it for the first time, what was that like? What was your experience? Are you guys like all squished in a bus? What was that sort of first tour like?
Well, we did our early days. We toured in a Denali, and so I'd be all the way in the back, scrunched up with my knees to my chest, and that whole deal, pulling a trailer and everything like that. We went from Michigan down to Florida a few times like that. We'd always do spring break down there, stay down there for a couple of weeks and play. And when we started touring full time nationally, we went straight into an RV for about the first 18 months or so, which was just terrible. It was awful, but it shaped me and helped form my constitution a little bit as a person and as an artist. Everything about my journey with that group was slow and steady. We weren't one of these bands that had a record that just shot straight up and then you never heard of again. It was really interesting because, I want to say our one of our first really big national tours with other bands was Puddle of Mud and Saving Abel. And I remember at that time, Saving Abel was another one of those bands that came out right around the same time that we did, dropped their first singles together. And of course, their first single, Addicted, was, in 2008. I think it was like the most played song across like any genre. So we saw those guys, getting brand new buses and brand new gear and this and that. We're like, man, I hope our song takes off. I hope this, I hope that. And it never really happened that way. We saw those guys sort of, hit the upper limits pretty early, and then struggled to maintain that because it all came at them so fast. I don't want to speak for them, of course, but this is just from my perspective. And we just slowly got bigger, slowly got a little bit better as, we dropped single after single after single. It kind of climbed the chart more and more and more and more. So I really do believe that, the success that we had with that group was very organic and grown in the best way possible, I think. we really never experienced any kind of like overnight success. It was all just, one day at a time kind of stuff.
Yeah.
One day at a time. One broken piece of equipment at a time. Struggle to get to the next gig at a time.
Yeah. I kind of became really aware of you guys when Monster sort of started hitting Sirius radio and stuff like that. That was the first time I had heard of you guys. And I was like, oh, these guys sound awesome. These guys are really cool. And then obviously your next album really kind of kicks the doors open with Trenches and stuff like that. Did you see was there a big shift in sort of your crowd and stage size and all that stuff at that point? Is that sort of when things sort of really start making a big major change?
Well, we started to get, better tours with other bands at that point.
Yeah.
I think when Onyx came out, we had Trenches and songs like that. We had opportunities for tours that we never had before. A lot of that stuff started opening doors. I think that's still the favorite album of a lot of people, and I do believe that's around the time that most people kind of got to know us. So if you came in around the Monster You Made era, you're just like a little bit ahead of everybody else. But it's another interesting point too, is like satellite radio and Sirius and all that kind of stuff. That sort of came about at the same time that we came on the scene as well, and it was really an interesting dynamic because there were a lot of people that were brand new to it, on the satellite radio side. And suddenly we were showing up and doing these shows and trying to do these headline shows. And it was like, yeah, I heard your song on Octane. I heard your song here. I heard your song there. And like, oh, I didn't know we got played there. But, it was like all encompassing. It was one way to get us out everywhere. And,
right.
And that was really cool. And we got to grow with those companies quite a bit as well.
That's awesome. Onyx was, that's actually, to me, it's like almost a perfect record. I love that record, man. That's such a killer tone, killer vibe. The songs are really, really good. Everything is so structured, and moving forward, you guys just kept making killer songs. But to me, that was that moment when you just really find a band and you just sort of suck up every sort of song you can off of that band once you sort of realize who they are and what they've done and all that stuff. So yeah, I really love that album.
A lot of what it went into that album too was like, that was our last shot. If that album didn't work and didn't respond, we were done. Our management, label, I think during the course of that album, we actually got dropped by our label and then like picked up by another one. So our record was like started over here and then got bought out by this label. And then like, it was a nightmare. And we knew that if that one didn't do well, that, most likely they would just let it fizzle. So that's kind of like the last album we had where we were really, just pissed off at the world. I think that makes for great music,
Yeah. You look at the history of rock and roll. There's a lot of those artists that are just like, we got nothing. We're going to just put it all out there and we're going to be aggressive. And, they write that mega, whether it be, rock album or song or whatever. Yeah. It definitely, it's very aware. It's very real. It's very raw in that album. It sounds great. And moving forward for your future albums, you can see sort of a shift now. They're a little bit more inspiring in the songs, and the songs are still excellent. They're still great. I love every album you guys put out. You can see that their anger is still there, but you also are sort of widening your sort of probably your approach on other songs as well. A lot more work related, blue collar related songs, stuff like that. I think you guys had a really nice sort of growth through those albums.
Yeah, you have to tap into stuff differently when things are going good.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that you don't still have inspiration, but it's going to change a little. And I remember going from the album Onyx to the album Up. it was like we had just toured off of the success of Onyx, which by no means made us into like some killer top tier band, but we had our first 3 #1 singles off of that album. So it gave us just a little bit of breathing room, and it felt great. So we started writing, the album, which became Up, and we noticed, like, just naturally, there's this theme of positivity throughout it. And because of that, we named it Up, like everything's moving up. We mentioned that like a few times in a few different songs, but it was just like this realization. The songs came out, and then afterwards we reflected on it and said, wow, this is like embracing, good things to come and all that kind of stuff. So.
Cool. Yeah. So moving forward, I mean, I know you've just talked about departing from the band and stuff like that. When it comes to the whole COVID stuff, I mean, you guys have obviously been off the road. Everyone's been off the road for, a year and a half or so, something to that effect. Does COVID play into your future views of where you are as a musician and stuff like that? Does that have any factor in what you want to do next, or does that sort of, change the way you look at stuff or anything like that?
For me personally, no. I don't see any reason, especially, right now moving forward, why it would hinder anything. If anything, it just creates more opportunities. People are so starved for live entertainment. They're so starved for music and new things. And I've had a chance to get out and do research on other stuff, find new things that they like. It's like, I think that the music industry in general is going to thrive. I think you'll see a big scoop out of the middle of it, but as far as like things are back up, tours happening, so much demand for venues to play, right? It's like all the venues are getting booked up and booked up and booked up. I think you're going to see a lot of big bands do really well getting back out, and a lot of local bands doing really well getting back out, where all your local spots are like, come on out, come play live music, we're booking everybody. And a lot of the middle tier bands, like I consider my old band, that don't necessarily have like the cash flow built up to start up a new tour fresh and everything like that, or might get overlooked because of another band that's bigger that wants to get in and get those dates. I think for a while it's going to kind of squeeze out the middle, but yeah, that's just my prediction. It's what it is.
Yeah, that's a good point that you raised, because even this year with all the drive-in venues that have started up, smaller ones are doing fairly decent as far as I can see. I work with another group of guys in Swansea, New Hampshire, and they've done well over the last year and a half.
Yeah,
and slowly building up
for live music. Yeah.
People just want to get out and listen to it.
Yeah. When it comes to your what you've been doing and stuff like that, can you talk about anything you have coming up? Do you have any plans for anything specific you can talk about?
Musically?
Yeah.
So I did take off for about 6 weeks in late May and early June. And I went out on the road with Corey Taylor.
Yep.
Solo project. Which is a blast. Like I just went out, did the tour with him, to carry Corey, and it was killer. Like, it's just the best group of people you could ever imagine, like putting on a bus and on a bill together. So it felt good to get out and tour with friends, and I'm gearing up to take off again in August. I'll be gone all of August with Corey again. But as far as like a project of my own or another band or anything like that, I'm starting to fall in love with my instrument again, and I've been spending some time like just trying to figure out, you know, who I am without the influence of other people around. Writing for this or that, and just kind of do things on my own. And to be perfectly honest, I don't really have anything to do. Just sort of letting it be known that I'm open, I'm available. Am I going to create a little bit in my own time? Absolutely. Do I plan on necessarily releasing that to the world? Who knows, man. If the right opportunity came along and you know, a good group of people wanted me to go out and play for them, whether it's a massive group or, you know, a group that's just starting out, I'll take a look at anything with serious consideration. You know, it's just about putting myself in situations that I want to be in, around people that I want to be around. And yeah, I'm open. I'm open to new stuff.
Yeah, I think that's awesome to have that freedom. And you know, you're writing your own. You know, I mean, you've obviously been in a situation where you are sort of the music and the band's structure has to keep doing things to keep moving forward. And now you have that freedom to just kind of sit back and say, you know what, I can give this a try if I want to. It's, you know, I can do whatever, and yeah, I can have a good time. All that stuff. That's awesome, dude. I'll talk to you about it after, but moving on to some of your other topics. So not just being a bass player, all the stuff I mentioned at the beginning, you have a lot of hobbies and you have a lot of stuff that you've been working on. I follow you on Instagram. You got a lot of cool stuff you've been doing. Do you want to talk about any of those sort of things? Your tattoo shop, your gun stuff, anything?
Jason, can I jump in on that?
Sure, go ahead.
I know during COVID, I built my first AR-10, and I see you're affiliated with Cabot Guns, and they're big on 1911, and I'm a 1911 guy myself. How did you get involved with them?
Oh, man. How much time do we have?
We got all in the world, but you probably don't.
So, great group of guys over there at Cabot. Again, it's like just some amazing salt of the earth guys. I ran into the CEO and the CFO of Cabot almost 8 years ago. And it's kind of an interesting story, right? So notoriously, like, we played Sturgis, the biker festival every year. And
sure.
The campground that we play, there used to be like a machine gun pit off to the side, like kind of off the campgrounds. And people from all over would drive out there. There'd be people that had like various machine guns and stuff, where you're just in this dirty pit and, you know, blasting off rounds for the sake of doing it. So I went out there with some buddies one year, and I look over, excuse me, I'm looking at what they have to offer, and I see this table sort of off by itself, and it's like got these beautiful like 1911s, and they're out there in the dirt and the dust and everything, and these guys dressed, you know, in suits and looking all dapper. Like, what are you guys doing here? You know, this is like a dirty, filthy machine gun pit. And they're like, well, you know, we're a newer company, and we thought we could kind of, you know, get out here and show off some guns and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm talking to them for a while because I was in the market for like a really nice 1911. And I'd heard a little bit about them, but at that point in time, they're still a very new company. So they're showing me some of their guns, and they said, you know, well, actually, you know, we built this set of guns for Kid Rock, who was playing the following night after us. They said, but, you know, we actually don't have any way to get them to him. We don't know him or anything. We just kind of showed up and hoped that we could, like, somehow get them to him. So, all right, well, I can help with that. Like, from Michigan, like, I've known him for years and years. So I set up a meeting between them so that they could present him with these guns. So he meets with them. He goes, yeah, that's cool, but I don't want those. I want those. and they had made these guns with like custom serial numbers that had his name in them and everything. And he's like, I don't want this. So they ended up building him a fresh set of guns that was like something that he wanted. And they did some photo shoots and some press with them for that. Got a photo in Rolling Stone and all that kind of stuff. So that begun my relationship with the guys at Cabot Guns. And I started working with them in various capacities from that day on. I had them build me a gun, did a few different things, did some photo shoots for them, did some interviews for them. I'd go to different gun shows with them, which led to me bringing out like a case of guns. I had them ship me like, 6 or 7 guns that I would take on the road with me. And I said, listen, you guys, you don't do high volume, so you haven't had the chance to like get your guns in people's hands very much. I'm already on the road. My overhead's taken care of. How about I pop into some of these dealerships, like on days off or, before the show, on show days, and I can just kind of show your product around. Like, oh gosh, that'd be great. Of course, we'll send you some stuff.
Give me guns.
That position kind of grew. Like I came back, I had some time off, and there's a facility in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which was a part of it. So I'd pop down to the shop, I'd do, little things here and there. I had a project where I took a 1911, I stuck it in a base, like routed out the body and put the gun in the base and did all this kind of crazy stuff. I'll show you a picture of. And so I started my relationship there on the manufacturing side. And then as time went on, I'd spend more and more time down there just working on guns and doing different things and get my hands dirty with meteorite and Damascus and wild stuff. And when the pandemic hit, I went down. I didn't come back. I bought a house down in Fort Wayne and just I started doing stuff like that just to keep busy. So it's been fun. I love working with my hands. I do have a passion for firearms and firearm safety, and it's just a great group of guys that I've been able to watch, like as our company's grown and lend a hand.
Yeah, it's so, I see all your posts and stuff like that on Instagram. You got such a cool bunch. I saw your custom grips recently or something like that. Didn't you post that like a month or two ago? You had some custom grips you made, or were they made for you maybe?
Was it like all the gold barrel or something like that? I think
I forgot what it was. I remember seeing it. I just don't remember the detail. I remember it being maybe like a month ago or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, you actually machine your own parts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we do. We do everything from scratch. So like our frames, slides, we just start with a chunk of steel, bar steel, and cut it down, qualify it through a machine, do everything else, finishing and all that. There's
Oh yeah, nice. Oh yeah, I saw that one. That's right. Yeah.
It's difficult to see, but yeah, pictures of that kind of stuff.
What's that Damascus 1911 like? Not that we can really geek out here and go off on a tangent.
Yeah. Well, we have so many different kinds. Like they call our company like the Rolls Royce of 1911s. We do a lot of bougie stuff, which is awesome. Like heirloom quality stuff, like collector's pieces. So we've sourced Damascus from the best guys in the world. Like Robert Eggerling does a lot of our stuff. And it's terrible to machine. It's a machinist's nightmare, man. It's like a puzzle, but I love puzzles. So it's interesting to work with, but seeing the finished product is it's amazing because you never really know what you're going to get until it's done. It's cool. Like the whole process about it's cool. Every piece that you get is unique. It's hand forged, and you just get to try to make a work of art out of it. We've had guns going like GQ and Maxim magazine and like a lot of stuff like that. So
Cool.
pretty awesome to be a part of it.
Now that you've changed your location, are you still involved with the tattoo shop, or is that something you still do at all?
Yeah, still a partner at the tattoo shop. I'm not an artist in that regard. It's funny. My partner in the tattoo shop, he was the singer in my very first band, and it was kind of fun to see it like come full circle. Because I went off to go do this other band and tour. He moved out of state. He was from Michigan. He moved to Arizona. And when I go through Arizona, I'd still stop in and see him tattooing out there and get work done. So years back when I heard that he was moving back to Michigan to be closer to family and, wanted to open up a shop of his own, we talked about it and pulled the trigger, so to speak. And so happily open to this day. Survived
Nice.
the pandemic and all that stuff. Back open.
Nice. That's awesome. Are you still building motorcycles at all, or is that still a thing? Or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the few things I still just do for me. I've got a habit of taking the things that I love to do and turning them into jobs. And building bikes is the last thing that I refuse to do for money. Just something I'll do for myself or do for buddies. I've got a bike on the lift right now that I'm sort of redoing top to bottom and everything. And, not that I've got a ton of time to do that stuff, but man, I really enjoy it.
that's awesome. Yeah.
You're definitely enthusiastic, that's for sure. A lot of energy.
I mean, a lot of hobbies, it's a lot of good creativity stuff and multiple, you're very hands-on creativity stuff. So it's a really, it's actually stress relieving too, I assume.
Yeah. Any kind of outlet where I can create, that's why I liked working in the gun shop so much too, is, I go out on the road or, would go out for months and months and months at a time around people all the time, all day, every day, on a tour bus, in a dressing room, on a stage, backstage. And you're constantly working through the creative process with other people. And so I'd get home and I'd take off and I'd go to the shop and I'd go, find a machine in a corner and grab some crazy steel and just sit there and work with it for 10, 12 hours at a time, just by myself. It's great.
Nice. So because we're all photographers, I kind of want to get a little bit of a photography talk in here, more of that creativity. As you as an artist, being up on stage, when you play a show, I'm sure the next, all night long, all through the next day, you're being bombarded with photos and stuff like that, all these posters, stuff like that. As an artist, what would be your feedback to people taking photos of you on stage? Because there's some artists, and you got the guitar face going on. Some people like to see more of this or more of that. Do you have any suggestions for photographers or anything like that coming from an artist perspective?
Well, I can only give you, my perspective and my preference. So there are a handful of things, right, that I'm picky about that others might not be picky about. First of all, it's if you see a picture and you're like, whoa, that's a cool picture. It's to see something that's a no-brainer is awesome. You get that wow moment with anything. It doesn't matter what it's of or what you're doing or anything. We've all seen those and it just kind of crap, does that mean? But a lot of times what I'll get is people will tag me in photos where I'm singing backup vocals or something, and the microphone is covering my whole face. So you got this weird look going on, face is covered. Listen, I'm a bass player. I don't need photos of me on a microphone. So more oftentimes than not, if I see something where a microphone's covering half my face, I'm ow. Not to say that there aren't good ones, but that's a very difficult one to capture and do a great job at.
Yep.
So,
yep.
That's good feedback.
Yeah, it's definitely, from a crowd, a lot of these shots are, iPhone videos or whatever, mobile phone videos and stuff like that. So, it all depends on the perspective and stuff like it. But absolutely, it's really from a photographer, us being a photographer, we're always trying to figure out how we can best make the artist look like they want, the artist needs to have their look is for a lot of artists, their look is their sort of their overall image of their business and stuff like that. So, we always try to make sure we are delivering something to that effect for that artist. We're all work for a venue, so our job is to actually capture the fan experience, but capturing the artist in their, peak moment is something we try to do as well.
Within 3 songs.
Yeah.
You got the home court advantage though too,
Right.
You know where the lighting looks good, where the angles look good, the height of the stage, the room, which is great. That all plays into it, man.
Yep.
Like as you know.
Yep.
I think the more that you know a group, the more that you know like things that they do on stage, you can kind of anticipate those moments, kind of as they come.
Yep. Yeah, definitely looking at set lists from prior shows and stuff like that.
Yeah. Love the red light.
Red light.
Yeah, the red. Yeah,
that's evil for us.
Yeah, there's certain bands that just, we only get first 3 songs, and sometimes the lighting is just not the greatest during first 3 songs.
You're right. And the 4th one's like, why couldn't we have this one?
Yeah.
As an artist, sometimes I get upset too, because I'll look at the set list and I know, like, I'll walk out and I'll see a bunch of photographers and I'm like, oh crap, they're going to be out of here before we get to this. I really want them to shoot this song.
Right. Yeah.
First 3 is the last 3.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Or like pick your 3.
There you go. That's an idea right there. We should present that next time. See how far that gets us.
Yeah. Right.
Prop Plonk.
This bass player says we could just pick any 3 songs we want.
That's right.
Matt said it was all right. Is there like a specific tour or artist that you toured with that like really stuck out and you're like, dude, I'm so psyched to be touring with this guy or this band or whatever?
Clearly, yeah, they're just flooding me right now. No, we got a bunch of guys, man. Dude, people are great. When you're a local band for so long, local bands are always in competition with each other. Get out touring nationally, it's like a family. Like everybody's doing the same thing for each other. So people are great, man. I love touring with 3 Doors Down. Those guys have always been good to us. Always been really good guys. I got a lot in common with those guys too, so we hang out on our off days quite a bit. Touring with Stone Sour, great group of dudes. Five Finger Death Punch has always been really nice to us. I'm a sweetheart. Dude, there are a ton. There are a ton of bands that are really, really good bands to tour with.
Was there any sort of like childhood heroes that you're like, oh shit, we're opening up for Judas Priest or something crazy like that?
Well, we did tour with Judas Priest. So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of those along the way. One that you might not suspect for me was Jackal. First time I played Jackal. Like, certainly we've played with and opened for and toured with like bigger names than that, but it sort of had some resonance with me in my childhood as far as like working on motorcycles with my uncle and stuff like that. It was his favorite band. I just remember like the first time that we opened for Jackal, I was just, side stage, every song, singing along, stood in line, got the shirt, had him sign it. We're all buddies and stuff now, but it was a big deal. It was a bigger deal than most for me just because of growing up with that influence.
Yeah, I love Jackal, dude. I seen him several times way back, in the late 90s or something like that. He gets the chainsaw out, man. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I got a photo somewhere of me playing his chainsaw on stage. It was like, wow. That's
super cool. Do you have was there for you playing bass, is there like who is your bass player? Who do you like as a bass player?
A lot of guys for different reasons. So, I was always a fan of like Nikki Sixx because of his stage presence, and I was a fan of Billy Sheehan because he was like a great technical player, but still like a rock player. I was like a huge fan of like Twiggy Ramirez, George White, because he's a great songwriter. I had a lot of weird influences or different influences for different reasons, because I always respected like all of those key components. It's like guys that have great stage show, guys that are great songwriters, great performers, great players technically, all that stuff. It's just I keyed in on those things with different people for different reasons.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. We can cut it if you want, but way back in the day at a VIP, you and I were talking, and I think that you said that you were going to be on the cover of a romance novel or something to that effect. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's true. It's out. It's available for purchase.
What was it? What is the name of the book?
The book is called Fully Loaded. And it's a picture of me, and this is another story, right? So we mentioned earlier my nonprofit organization. So I've got a charity that I run called Star Treatments. Started it back in 2014, and it's still active today. Like, still work with a lot of families every month. I had this lady approach me who writes, adult romance books, and she wanted to use my likeness for the main character. So the story is actually written about me also.
Oh, okay.
Along with like having a photo of me on the cover. So we went back and forth a little bit, and I said, tell you what, if you can donate 50% of the proceeds of that to my charity, Start Treatments, then I'll give you permission to use my likeness, and I'll help you conquer it and all that kind of stuff. So, lo and behold, she knocked it out, and we did it. And, for years now, it's been out, still selling. She writes a check every quarter for everything sold. And it's great. It's like, it's funny. I always joke and I say, like, I sold my fictional self for sex to help kids, help raise money for kids. Like a weird form of prostitution. It's morally driven. I don't know. I don't really know how to sum it all up, but yeah, it was a cool experience.
Jason wants a signed copy if you can get him one.
Yeah, okay. Do you really? Seriously? That's awesome.
I'll send
it. That's a good story.
Yeah, I remember you saying that to me, and I was like, you know what? I totally see this. You got that rock star look. That's the perfect cover for this magazine, for the book. I totally see it. Yeah, absolutely. So, in regards to the Star Treatments, if I remember correctly, also you can do. There was like an Amazon way to also donate when you purchase through Amazon as well, right? Can you give us a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, it's not highly advertised by Amazon.
Right.
You're giving away money. But there's a feature called Amazon Smile. And if you look up Amazon Smile, it's Amazon, but on that page, you can select a charity that you want to donate to. And it doesn't cost you anything. Amazon pays it. So on eligible items, they give like 0.5% of whatever the price is. They donate it to charity choice. So, It's like you spend $10, it costs you $10 on Amazon, it costs you $10 on Amazon Smile, but on Amazon Smile, they send 50 cents to charity. So we are registered through that, and I think we're creeping up on like $5,000 or something like that. That's been donated to us over the lifetime of of us being signed up for that. So it's not insignificant at all. For a lot of people that buy stuff on Amazon religiously, it's like you just sign on with your Amazon Smile account. You don't have to think about it. Pull it out for you. Send updates.
Yeah, and for me, I have to buy equipment through work and stuff like that. So it's super easy. Everyone wins doing that. So that's a great opportunity for everybody.
Absolutely.
And with your star treatments, I know you've in the past, you have provided, when you guys were touring, a ride or a vehicle or something to that effect for someone who's needs a transportation and stuff like that. Is that right?
Yes. So we work with kids, and kids that are sick in any capacity and have to go back and forth regularly to like treatments or to a doctor of some sort. We send them off in like VIP style transportation. So we'll pick them up at their home in like a limo or a Sprinter van or a tour bus or something of the sort, pack it full of goodies. We give them like a really cool experience. We give them the star treatment on the way to get their treatments done. So it helps the kids in the sense that it's like the most terrifying part of their experience. So a lot of these families have to travel 3 or 4 hours one way, or they may be flying into a new city. Or we pick them up at their house, take them to the airport, meet them in the next city at the airport, take them wherever they have to go, and get them back, of course. But that anxiety that they have and everything that builds up to it, and just like a traumatic experience in the hospital when they're actually going through the treatments, and then on the way back, feeling like garbage. It gives them just something to look forward to, a way to relax, and oftentimes like the kids are so excited about watching their favorite movie in this cool car or van or whatever it is, that by the time they get to the hospital, they're just like in a great mood. And I have to believe that plays a direct role in their healing process, is like their state of mind when they go in and when they leave. It also provides like some relief for the families too, where it's just one less thing the parents have to think about. We've got families that can't afford to get from one place to another. They don't have reliable transportation. They'd have to rent a car, or just all the logistics of it, especially when you're flying and stuff. Just to take that off their plate, give them a moment to like relax, have some comfort with their child, and just be present.
That's cool. That's really, it's really nice that you can give back. You spend so much time grinding to get to a certain level, and then being able to give back at that something really unique and of an experience like that. It's just really cool.
What's the point of having success of any kind if you don't like reach down and grab other people and bring them up with? Right.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the perfect mindset to be in for something like this too. That's really, really cool. Glenn, you want to go ahead and ask a question?
Yeah, just getting back to the tour scene, Matt. You obviously been on the road for a long time, 14 years or whatever, but can you tell us like some of your favorite parts of the world or venues that you've been at and the experiences you may have had at these venues, and likewise some of the worst maybe?
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite places in the world has been Sweden, Gothenburg, Sweden. We got to do some shows. We did some music videos that we actually shot in Sweden as well. Something about it. It's a little further off from like the Central Europe vibe, and there's just something I really love about that part of the world. Got some great experiences and memories from that. As far as venues, being a Michigan guy, I've got the Machine Shop all day long. I've been really great friends with the owner, Kevin, for years and years and years. And our birthdays are only a few days apart. So this past weekend, I saw him and kind of celebrated our birthdays together and stuff. But I've got a Machine Shop tattoo on my leg that I got while I was laying on the bar at the Machine Shop. And like in the early days when we'd go there and do covers, man, I'd ride my motorcycle across the state. And this is back when I drank too. So I'd hang out. I'd plan on like staying at his house, overnight after the show. So get off stage, go to the bar. I'd grab my bike and ride my bike inside the bar. We do, burnouts on the dance floor and stuff. Just park it right there and leave it there for the night. All kinds of stupid stuff like that. It's just, the people there make the venue, and it's just like some of the best people you'll ever meet. Likewise, there have definitely been a handful of venues or pseudo venues that we've played that have not been so gracious. So, like, I remember playing like these strip clubs back in the early days where like there was a moment in time where all of these strip clubs would bring in bands. They'd make like a stage or like an extension of their stage into like a band stage that wasn't really a stage. And I don't know why it got popular for a while, but a lot of them did it. And a lot of them did it in Florida, which really makes sense when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being out with bands like Saliva or Drowning Pool, and we'd play these strip clubs all the time, man. And it's like get up in between dancers and then play like a full set, just doing shots off the back of your amp, in between songs and just trying to power through it, man. There's never anyone at any of those shows. It's terrible.
Well, congratulations on your sobriety. How many years has that been?
Coming up on 8.
Awesome. Very cool. And happy birthday. I mentioned to you on Instagram, but happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks, brother.
So just to add to that, we were fortunate enough, my band was fortunate enough to open up for you guys in Boston a few years back, but going even further, thanks. Going even further back than that, you guys, I'm not going to say what venue it is, but you guys played a venue that I saw you at and we did meet and greet. I actually brought my mother to a lot of the shows because she was actually one of the ones that got me influenced in Pop Evil. But I don't know if you remember I don't even know if you remember that, but yeah. Yeah. But anyways, way back, you guys played a show at a specific venue that I don't even know if they're around anymore, but we actually played that venue probably like a year later. And that venue was a mess. I mean, the backstage was it was like water leaked. The water was, you couldn't even sit down because everything was soaking wet. There was the place was disgusting dirty. It was like a train wreck out back. It was like the whole place was falling down. I'm like, man, this is the glamorous touring life is really like.
More often than not.
Yeah. I bet. Well, we were just talking with Mike Protich a couple weeks ago about when they first started, and they don't know when their next shower is going to be or anything like that, so they would have to join like Planet Fitness or something like that, so they could actually find a shower in the local town and stuff like that.
Made sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually is a really good move. Was it 20, 25 bucks?
Yeah, $20 a month, and you can go anywhere.
Bring a friend.
Yeah.
Hot shower every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a killer tour hack right there. But you'll quickly learn that being on tour means that you are always parked next to a dumpster. The smell of dumpsters means home for you. Wherever the bus is.
We've heard plenty of these stories.
Yeah. Luckily at our venue, I don't think you're near the dumpsters when you park at our venue.
That's one thing about our venue. Well, you guys be treated like kings.
Yeah, we have like a mini golf back there, a pool, all that stuff.
The food is endless. If you like lobster and steaks, you're in. Yeah. They treat the people good.
All right. So Matt, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. This is really, really cool. I really appreciate it. I know you guys so much going on. I know things are going to be completely new. This whole, whatever's coming up your route is going to be really cool. I'm really excited to see whatever that's going to be. Anything that you want to hit on that we may have missed?
Yeah, not that you missed necessarily, but if you don't mind, I would mind plugging my star treatments.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Want to learn more about that?
What was the website again?
It's startreatments.org. Definitely go check it out. We're doing some cool stuff there. You can sign up for a newsletter. Every month I write a newsletter and kind of what we've been up to, pictures, stuff like that. So that's something that's always going to be very near and dear to my heart. I'm very hands-on with. So yeah, check that out if you don't know about it. It's not for me, it's for them.
Perfect. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Great. I follow that. Like I said, I donate through the Amazon and stuff like that. So that's super cool. And I follow you obviously on the Instagram and stuff like that. You said you're going to be hitting the road later on with Corey and his solo band, his solo project. How long is that? Is that just for a month?
Yeah, I think the actual tour dates might be like 2.5 weeks, something like that.
Cool.
It's a very short run, but yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode with Matt Dirito. We hope you enjoyed it. You can check out our other guests on all your favorite podcast locations and on talesfromthepit.net. We'll see you next time.